Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to go through some boxes. I received some boxes from my bank here in Pennsylvania, and we'll start with the box of nickels. I already opened the box. It is circulated. Nothing stands out. We'll try doing this really quick. It looks like a new one there. Couple rings of death. Let's get into it. We'll see what we can do. We'll break them open and I'll show you my finds. So here we go. We got obviously the 30s would be a 39. We got some 40s. We got some 50s. The 60s I'll break out into year because there's so many of them. Mostly 64s, but we won't get into that. Then the 70s we got some. Yeah, mostly some really nice ones. We got some miscellaneous. We got a dime, one buffalo, a nice shiny beaver, 97, and just some other really nice examples of some coins. We got the 05D, we scoped some, 04P, 05P, and 04D. So we got those. Some of them I will re-roll and send back. If they're really nice, impeccable, yeah, I roll them up, I keep them. I do like them. Let's see. We've got a couple of the 80s that turned out really nice. I kept those. 24s. A couple 90s that turned out really nice. I kept those. And here we go with some 25s that I'd like to roll a P and Ds. Obviously, they're going to be impeccable. But I do pull them out, and then occasionally I'll go through, I'll sort them into P and D, and then, yeah, I'll keep some, then I'll wind up rolling some up and sending them back. But that was the 3 boxes, the bag in one box. Like I said, I did get a bag. So that's kind of the process. Then, we'll see how long I'll keep these. I'll put them in a gallon bag. I obviously got the 60s in since there were so many of them. They're broken into years. These ones I haven't done that yet. Like the 70s, 60s, all that. As soon as I get more, I'll make that determination. I'll break them out into years and put them into a gallon bag each. But like with the 70s, there's not a whole lot there. But we'll see as the year goes on. I do want to continue getting bags. I found that the bags are a little nicer than the boxes. Like I said, the bank takes in change. I could take a 5-gallon bucket. Well, it's a little heavy for the girls to carry, so I mean, I wouldn't go with more than a 3-gallon, 2-gallon bucket or fill it up partial. But they take it, they dump it in the machine. It does its thing, and they're like, okay, you got X amount, and it's either deposited or cashed. So, and I do like that. Judging by some of the really nice coins, I do think that there's a couple local dealers that kind of utilize it. My theory is they get these Whitman push-in albums, you know, they buy collections and they're like, oh, well, pop, take them to the bank, you know, and I do believe that's how we get a couple of the key dates in there. You know, that, you know, especially in the Whitman push-ins, you know, they show the odd verse, you know, and maybe one that has a reverse like per decade or something. And you don't get to see the front of it. You don't see what the date is, but you see a really nice back. So when they go pop, 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 they don't think nothing of it. And maybe by some chance somebody put in 1950D in, with the reverse showing instead of the odd verse. It's hard to say. That's my speculation. Especially with the DDOs, I know a lot of dealers that just want nothing to do with searching for errors because time is money and they don't have the time in the day to do it. Nothing against dealers that don't, but then again, when, you preach, you could find this, you could find that, this is worth this is worth that, but when you take it to a dealer and they're like, no, we don't deal with errors, you're stuck with a whole bunch of change that you spent hours and hours and hours with, and you wind up taking it to the bank, dumping it, and somebody else finds it anyway. It's definitely my philosophy, my way of thinking. I'm not saying that's true for everyone, but, when I was at coin shows, helping people set up and helping people run their coin shows, I did have a lot of people ask, and a lot of people don't buy them. If I had the opportunity, and when I did have the opportunity, I would look at the errors, and I did buy quite a few. 1960s, I broke these out into years just because of the sheer number. Again, I do keep all the 1960s. Reason being is I do scope a bunch of them. Maybe not on camera, but I do. There's a lot to look for. You could say just a few. You got 1964 alone. Usually the bulk of all the 1960s are the 1964. 1964 is a good DDO to look for. Again, DDRs would be 1962s is a good one to look for. You would see repunched mint marks, perhaps. You may find a 1969 S over S, 68 S over S. Not too much on the low mintage. And you could find some interesting other things, but just in general, I do keep from 1960 and up, but I do keep some of the 70s, as you will see later. So just between 1960, like I said, the 64s, I'll scope a bunch of those, and chances are anything that's not worth keeping, I won't keep them. I automatically go re-roll them. Again, I do have a set of funnels. Obviously, they fill up. Tap, tap, it comes out. Whoop, it's full. And then I use my rolls and re-roll them. I do get my rolls from the bank. I do get them from the Dollar Tree. $1.05 a pack. Kind of cheap. I used to get the big bags of the round rolled. Now they sell them in the flats where they're all flat like you'd get from the bank. It does come in handy. I do prefer to re-roll mine and then take them back to the bank. Some of the banks that I do dump at do prefer it that way as well. It's easier for them to get rolls from me than it is for them to get rolls from Brinks or Loomis or some other transport company. It's just interesting that way. I do like them by the bag. Like I said, this is 3 box worth. I got 1 box earlier in the week. And then I did get a bag of a $200 bag, so it was 2 boxes. and that bank, particularly anything that comes in change-wise, they dump it in the machine, get a tally, then they pay out to the person that dumps it. Just like North Carolina, I do know that there are a couple coin roll hunters / coin dealers that like to go through change, and they will take it to, certain banks that don't have to pay, and they dump them. But when you go to like the Coinstar, they like to charge anywhere from 10 to 15% for you to dump your change into Coinstar. Brinks comes, services it, and then they take it back. Whereas, some of the banks that if you take them pre-rolled coins, I have a bank that deals just with pre-rolled coins. It's a credit union, and when I'm home in North Carolina, it's my favorite place to take the rolled coins back. But as far as dumping, I haven't dumped in a Coinstar since they stopped giving 0% gift cards from Amazon. I have used the 0 charge for the Home Depot. If I'm planning on going to Home Depot and buying something, I'll dump it into a Coinstar, and that's about the only way I'll use it. But most of my quarters are all rolled and I never dump quarters. And I used to dump pennies, the zinc pennies. I don't dump pennies anymore and haven't for a while. But a lot of my nickels, out of 3 boxes, I'm pretty close to $200, a little more perhaps. But I do have a bulk that I do like to go through, scope. Nothing interesting. They're not worth keeping. Poof, they go back. I roll them in and send them back. So like I said, we will do the 64s. I'll scope those. I'll scope some of the interesting 62s, not many of those. I'll try finding a repunch mint mark. I'll look at the 64 D over D, 68. Well, maybe not so much the 68, 69s, but we'll see. Yeah, just interesting stuff. And there's other things. There's cracked dies, die chips, cuds. Interesting stuff. I do tend to like cracked dies are awesome. I haven't found clip planchets. Usually I find the clipped planchets as I'm going through the bag or going through the box. And then I'll set those off to the side right off the bat. But there are quite a few that just, being a 1964, they look pretty uncirculated. And I do pull those to the side right off the bat because they are really nice. I've found proofs. I've found a bunch of stuff, as you all know. So let me get into this. I'll sort out the 64s and then go from P to D, and then we'll go from there. DDOs, 64. for peas. Typical bag that I buy. Their security, obviously it's sealed. Once they come and pick it up, this is separated so it does have number to match. Or once it gets to wherever it's going, this one's obviously going to Pittsburgh, Loomis, Nichols. You have different denominations, dollars, halves, quarters. I've seen them all. I have yet to see a mixed bag. I think that would be fun. Subject to count must be an error in the machine, and they're letting Loomis do that. Then grand total department teller. Quite interesting as far as security goes. But I would be all about getting a mixed bag. I think that would be awesome. So I like to use, but not all the time, but I do like to use these cheat cards. I think they're awesome. I purchased them from Couch Collectibles. They come in handy. I got them for all the denominations other than $1. And they're good. They're good references. They're not complete. There's still certain things that I like to look for that are not listed. And there's a lot of stuff on here that's listed that I do not look for. Then obviously you've seen me use my colored trays where I will sort and put by decade. I like them. I got them really cheap. I think they were like $5 for $1, and I got 3 or 4 stacks of them. But it definitely keeps things organized. Obviously, then I go with the cheap bags. I write on them and then keep everything separate. Then usually the bags get put into a gallon bag. Then the gallon bag gets put into an ammo can, and that's how I transport my coins from state to state, or just in general, storage reasons. They stack really nice. So, yes, I did do a box of dimes. I wound up keeping 5 dimes just because they looked really nice. Nothing fancy. All very common, newer dimes, but yeah, dimes are kind of hard. I haven't really found much as far as in the silver and the dimes in a long time. I do find occasional silver nickel and buffalo nickel, obviously. So that's my nickel. That is the way I sort nickels. Some of the tips and tricks with my nickels. I'm going to be doing a lot more nickels, I think, especially here in Pennsylvania. I do have a stockpile of cents that I still got to go through, but that's in North Carolina. So just saying that while in Pennsylvania, it'll be bills and nickels and maybe some other odds and ends. We'll see. So if you like what you see, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, thank you and have a grateful day.